Chapter 12. October 10th again. When people get hurt, they learn to hate. When people hurt others, they become hated and racked with guilt. But knowing that pain allows people to be kind. Pain allows people to grow, and how you grow is up to you. Jiraiya. Naruto stood with his back to the window. The late afternoon sun framed his small body in soft gold light and made his hair glow. Kakashi was taken aback yet again at how much he resembled his father. He smiled in fond remembrance of his old sensei, then moved towards the door. Naruto followed his father and peered around his body shyly. He gave a friendly smile at the boy standing there and said, "Hi, my name's Naruto." "Who are you?" "Sasuke Uchiha." "Are you camping with us?" "Yes," he replied bashfully. Naruto's face lit up with the prospect of a new friend. He said, "Cool, wanna see my room? My daddy painted it orange for me. We can play till he's done packing." Not giving the boy a chance to respond, Naruto raced up the stairs, then looked back when the boy did not follow. "Hurry up, Sasuke, I still gotta put some stuff in my pack." "Sasuke," he grunted, rolled his eyes, and then sedately followed the blonde boy. Soon after, Kakashi called the boys down to leave. Naruto raced down the stairs, then suddenly stopped when he caught sight of the front door. He hesitated, brow furrowed, then walked over to the copy nin and tugged on his pant leg. Kakashi knew what was coming. The boy whined, "Daddy, I don't feel so good. My tummy hurts and I think I gotta throw up. I think I might be dying." The nin took his hand and led him to the kitchen for privacy. He squatted down to the boy's level and said, "It's okay, pup, you are not dying, I promise. You do not need to worry because Daddy and Itachi are big bad ninjas, don't you know? We are so tough that no one would dare mess with you or us." Besides, Itachi said that Sasuke was very excited about this trip. He would feel so sad if we had to cancel it. "You don't want to disappoint him, do you?" Naruto looked torn for a moment, then put on a brave face and agreed to leave. The nin put Naruto's jacket and backpack on, then patted his shoulder warmly and gave him a wink. The four of them set out with Kakashi in the lead holding Naruto's hand, followed by Itachi and Sasuke. They walked through the village in a steady pace, each lost in their own thoughts for the moment. Kakashi felt more uneasy as they passed each progressively crowded street. He still hated being around too many people. He wished he had gone to the memorial stone this morning to tell his comrades he was leaving. He always did that before. He found he had been going there less and less lately. He snuck his hand into his pouch, pulled out his little orange book, and began to read. Within seconds, he felt much calmer, and his heart rate returned to normal. Sasuke noticed the way Kakashi affectionately rubbed Naruto on the head, and his sharp eyes caught the way he held the kid's hand, the way he absent-mindedly rubbed his thumb across Naruto's knuckles even while reading. He began to burn with an unexpected jealousy. It wasn't fair. He had overheard his brother, Kakashi was not the boy's real father. And yet he seemed to love him. It was not fair. Sasuke. His father, Fugaku, did not love him that way, not anymore. He hardly ever showed affection to Sasuke. Being ignored in favor of another breeds a special kind of loneliness and isolation. Sasuke did not know when he figured out his father did not particularly care for him. His father was there at every meal, but never really there. His mother talked to him and paid attention, as did his older brother, but not his father. He barely even acknowledged him. Fugaku loved Itachi and had nothing left for Sasuke. He studied hard to try to be as smart as his brother was, he trained hard to be strong, but nothing ever seemed to make a difference. No matter what Sasuke did, Itachi did it first and better and earlier. Itachi was the prodigy, Sasuke was not, at least not compared to his older brother. His brother would one day be the clan head, so his father spent a lot of time with him. There never seemed to be enough time left in the day for Sasuke. He was lonely. Sasuke glanced up at his brother and thought of all the things he did with him, like practicing with shuriken and taking him to the park. Itachi was everything his father was not. They even went boar hunting together once. He thought of his father again and the way he had begun to change in the last year. Once, he used to be happy, now it seemed like all he could talk about was revenge, but against who, Sasuke didn't know. But still, he thought, why doesn't my father love me? What did I ever do that was so bad? Another problem was his name, Uchiha. People treated him in a way he did not like. Some villagers bowed and scraped as if he was a prince, but their eyes spoke differently. Other children did not want to play with him because they took his quiet manner for being snobby, or they played with him because their parents made them. He hated the hypocrisy. Sometimes, he hated them. He spent a lot of time sitting on the dock by the lake. Alone. Naruto saw the glares and pulled his head a little lower. He began to sing to himself for a minute, then stopped. He got angry. He pulled his hood off and stared straight ahead, ignoring the villagers. He repeated to himself the things that Iruka taught him. He had friends that liked him. One day they would all like him. He just knew it. But still, he thought, why don't they like me? What did I ever do that was so bad? Itachi was looking around the village in pride. It was such a wonderful place. Just watching the villagers and various nin going about their business filled him with satisfaction. It was a peaceful village. He glanced ahead and had to do a double take. Is he really? Surely not. He just noticed what Kakashi was looking at. Surprised and a little shocked, he thought he was seeing things, so he asked, "What are you reading, and please tell me it is not porn." "What's porn?" piped Sasuke. "That's Anko's clothes," replied Naruto loudly. "That's what my daddy says." He turned around and smiled wide at Sasuke. "You should see her." Kakashi chuckled at the boys and said innocently to Itachi, "What? I am a young healthy male, I'll have you know. Have you ever read Ika Ika? It is quite enlightening. It is not porn, it's romance." Romance, my kanai, he thought. What about Naruto? What about him? Do you think I should get him his own copy? He does seem to have some sort of sick obsession with Anko, he deadpanned while ruffling Naruto's hair. Don't worry, Itachi, he knows not to touch them just like he knows not to touch my weapons. He is a smart boy. He rubbed Naruto's head again and gave him an eye smile. Don't you, pup? Yeah, daddy. I know the rules. No touching you weapons or the naked lady pictures you got under you bed, he said as he ducked Kakashi's playful swat and stuck out his tongue. Still, Kakashi, we are in public. That just is not appropriate behavior for a respected jonin of Konoha to be displaying, he said stiffly. Wow, you think I am respected? I am truly touched, he quipped. Touched in the head, Itachi muttered. Kakashi ignored him and continued to read, then snapped the book shut as they approached the gates and showed the guards their passes. He inwardly smirked at their looks of awe they shot at him. As soon as they were outside the village, Kakashi summoned his Ninken for extra protection and they set off towards the lake. Itachi, wanting to protect his brother as well, nodded in approval. It was a trip that normally would have taken the nin only a few hours to reach, but with the added presence of 2 preschool boys, took much longer. Naruto, getting bored, tried to talk to Sasuke. You gonna go to the academy soon? Cause I am. Sasuke smugly replied, it is called academy and you are too young to go. You have to be at least 5. Nah. My daddy and the Hokage said I can go. They say I can read and write good enough and my daddy teach me to throw the shuriken and kunai. He also show me chakra control. Sasuke's eye twitched. It's called chakra and there is no way they will let you start school. You still talk like a baby. Am not a baby, Naruto muttered. And I am too startin' school, huh daddy? Kakashi, who had been talking to Itachi, said, Well, we have not met with an instructor yet, but I do not think that will be a problem. You should be starting with Sasuke. Itachi said to them, technically there are only 3 admission requirements to the academy: love the village and hope to help preserve peace and prosperity, have a mind that will not yield, able to endure hard training and work, and be healthy in mind and body. Sasuke shot his brother an annoyed look. Then why couldn't I have started sooner? Itachi smiled, because our mother wanted you at home with her as long as possible, no matter how short of a time that is. I have regretted many times graduating so early. I missed out on a lot of things. Kakashi replied, as have I. That is the reason why I will not allow Naruto to graduate until he is at least 11 or 12, no matter what the instructors say. Sasuke frowned at them all and went silent until they arrived at the lake and began to set up the campsite. Naruto was so excited, but he kept tripping over the tent and knocking over everything, so Kakashi sent both boys along with his Ninken to collect firewood. I want you two to stay within sight of our camp. The Ninken have my permission to bite anyone who does not follow my rules. Sasuke's earlier feeling of jealousy came raging back up when he saw Kakashi tickle the blonde-haired boy before they left. As soon as they went to the edge of the woods and he was certain the Nin could no longer hear them, he hissed, "What makes you so special? Kakashi is not even your real dad. You're adopted, don't you know?" Naruto, surprised at the spitefulness coming from Sasuke, took a step back then said, "Yeah, I was adopted. My daddy picked me out special 'cause he wanted me more than anything. He loves me and I love him." "It's not fair," Sasuke nearly shouted. "Why?" Because it just isn't," he retorted, then kicked at the dirt. "Why do you gotta be so mean? You're just a stupid baby," Sasuke growled. "You don't know what it's like to be ignored." "I am not a baby, but I do know what it's like to be hated and ignored. Lots of people hate me and the rest won't look at me. You're lucky. You have a daddy and a mama and even a brother. You even got a whole clan. You got lots of people who love you. I wish I had a mama, but she died when I was born. My father does not love me," he said furiously. "No matter what I do," he ended quietly. "It's like I'm not even there." He swiped at his eyes, which were beginning to tear up. "I'm just not good enough." Naruto did not know what to say, but he felt bad for the older boy. "I see you, Sasuke. We can be friends. My daddy say that friends help each other. You wanna be my friend? We can make your daddy see you." If there was one thing the boy understood most, it was making people see him. He hated the way he was treated, so he and Kiba pulled many pranks on the people living in Konohagakure. He wanted to be acknowledged. Naruto vowed to himself to find a way to help his friend be happy. Sasuke lived within the clan compound. He was the only one there at his age. He had no friends of his own other than his brother, who was always busy. He had been lonely for a long time. He looked at Naruto's outstretched hand, paused, and then took it. "Yeah, maybe that would be all right. But you are a baka, Naruto," he joked with a smile, "'cause you can't make people see what they don't want to see. My brother says lots of people are blinded by what's in front of them." Naruto looked around to see if any adults were present, remembering a word Ibiki once used in front of him, said barely above a whisper, "You're a team, Sasuke." "It's Sasuke. Sasuke." The two boys looked at each other and laughed. Pakken watched the boys with a little doggy smirk and began to fetch some sticks for a fire. As the boys walked back to their camp, Naruto told him about some fun little pranks they could play on the men. He especially could not wait to try a few on Itachi. He was still a little peeved at him from the time he watched by him last. They dropped off the wood at the fire, went into Naruto and Kakashi's tent, and began to plot together. Naruto peered out the tent to make sure the coast was clear, then opened his bag and began to pull things out. "This here is ducky tape. When we sleep in, you gotta tape the outside of the tent on a zipper. Here, put it in your pocket. He giggled, then when my daddy goes to open it, he can't. He grabbed a small container next and showed it to Sasuke. This is salt. You dip his toothbrush in it so when he brush his teeth, it'll taste funny. This here is the best thing, glue. He whispered instructions into Sasuke's ear. Where did you learn all this? Asked Sasuke in awe. Hiba Inuzuka show me a lot. He's my friend. He plays pranks on his sister, Hannah, all the time. He funny, as if shh, my daddy is comin' I think. He whispered secretively, I also got a cool book from my godfather Raya. The tent flaps parted and Kakashi poked his head in. He looked at the two boys sitting on the floor and asked what they were doing. Nothing, they said with innocent looks. Aha, he said disbelievingly. Well, come out now and eat. He waited for them to leave the tent, then entered, peering around suspiciously. Kakashi picked up his sleeping bag and shook it out, just to be on the safe side. They all sat around the campfire eating, the men talking about the most unusual ways they had ever captured an enemy while they boys listened avidly. After dinner, the men decided to spar. Kakashi, waiting to impress the boys, walked out onto the water. Their huge round eyes and gasps of awe made him feel 10 feet tall. He smirked at Itachi and said, Come on kid, let's show the pups what a true shinobi is capable of. Itachi, not wanting to be outdone, raced out on the water and blew an enormous fireball, which the copy nin put out with a water dragon jutsu. He shunshined behind Kakashi and attempted to kick him in the kidneys, which the older nin blocked without turning. Ha, is that all you got, kid? Not even close, said Itachi as he swiped at him with a kunai, then blew several smaller fireballs at him. The men threw jutsu after jutsu towards each other while the chibis on the shore cheered and requested their favorite ninjutsus. Naruto slipped away while they were not watching and took care of their toothbrushes. When he came back, he gave Sasuke a wink and whispered, Mission complete. Sasuke gave him the thumbs up and covered his smile behind his hand. When the men returned to the shore, the boys immediately begged them to teach them how to walk on water like they did. Kakashi said, I think that is a bit too advanced for the both of you yet, however I can show you how to climb a tree first. Naruto pouted, Daddy, we're kids. We know how to climb a tree. Itachi said, Not like this. He walked slowly up the tree and stood on a limb upside down, while Kakashi muttered, Show off. After the men showed their boys what to do, they sat by the fire and watched them exhaust themselves the rest of the evening. When the sun completely set and the night hugged their tents, they picked up the boys and took them to their beds. Naruto smiled at him tiredly and said right before he passed out asleep, Almost got it, Daddy. Tomorrow for sure. I can do it. Kakashi looked at Naruto and thought, Poor kid, he is soaked in sweat, muddy, bedraggled, yet not complaining or whining. He seems to find the positive side to any situation. He wet a towel and cleaned the sleeping chibi as good as possible. Before he left the tent to rejoin Itachi, he smoothed the boy's hair down and pulled the sleeping bag up to his chin. He then hunted for one last thing and finally finding it, tucked Mr. Kumachan in with the boy. That night, Kakashi and Itachi were preparing for bed and were brushing their teeth. Itachi paused and had a peculiar look on his face. He stared at his toothbrush oddly. Kakashi also took his toothbrush out of his mouth, shook his head and laughed a little. He rinsed the brush thoroughly out with water from his canteen, then put more toothpaste on his brush. The nin then handed the canteen to Itachi, smirked and said, Get used to it. My little pup can be quite the prankster. Itachi found out just how much of a prankster the little chibi was that night. He woke up sometime later that night to find canvas touching his face. When he opened his eyes, he was confused, his tent had somehow fallen down. When he crawled out, he discovered all the tent stakes had been pulled out of the ground. Very early that same morning, Kakashi too found himself the victim of yet another prank when his tent did not want to open. Hearing Itachi moving around outside, he gave a small cough and asked the Umbu to help him out. Itachi pulled all of what looked like an entire roll of tape off, stuck his head in the tent and laughed at Kakashi. Laugh it up, Weasel. Remember, we are here for 2 more days. It will be your turn again soon. He pushed Itachi's face out of the tent, then poked Naruto. Hey, wake up, sleepyhead. You have things to do today. He set a wrapped box beside the boy and poked his side again until the chibi began to laugh. You want to see what I got you for your birthday? Naruto sat up, ripped the wrap off the box, and opened it. His high-pitched scream echoed across the lake as he pulled out a miniature Umbu mask and uniform. Just like you, Daddy. You got me one just like yours. He pulled the clothes out of the box and hugged them to him, then noticed some more ninja figures he had been wanting for a long time. He climbed onto Kakashi and hugged him hard. This is so cool, Daddy. As Kakashi felt the boy's small body pressed against his, he could not help but smile. The only thing his pup wanted for his birthday was to look just like his daddy. The only thing he refused to buy Naruto was a cloth mask like the one he wore. He did not want his boy to hide his face. Recently, Kakashi considered no longer wearing his as well, but it was a part of him now. It was who he was. He left to make some breakfast, but when he opened the bag of food, he found everyone had the labels removed. He rolled his eyes, then appreciated the fact that the boys were able to do that much without either Neen seeing them. We are having mystery breakfast this morning, he announced. After eating a very strange mixture of food and a little more tree-walking exercises, Kakashi snuck into his tent to pack a small bag without Naruto seeing. Nodding in conspiracy with Itachi, they took the boys for a hike. Pretty soon, the Neen found what they were looking for, a small slow-moving stream. They halted and set down their packs. Naruto, still too full of energy to be taking a break, asked why they were stopping. Kakashi prepared himself for the fight and said, because you need a bath. But I had a bath yesterday. And you need to brush your teeth. But I brushed my teeth yesterday. Sasuke laughed at Naruto, until Itachi said, you do too. He scowled at his older brother and muttered, do not. Daddy, it's my birthday today. Why you so mean? You post to be nice. Son, you have flies buzzing around you. Now get in the water. After 3 attempted escapes, a great deal of swearing coming from everyone, and one extremely traumatized squirrel, the boys were in the stream washing up. The look on their faces as they brushed their teeth had the 2 Neens giving each other secret knowing smiles and laughing. What's the matter, little boys? Is the toothpaste a little salty for you? Kakashi asked. Then Itachi and he reached into their bags and pulled out bottles of shampoo. The boys shared a look of horror and moved further away into the stream. TCH, we are shinobi, you know. Have you not figured out yet that we can catch you both quickly, said Itachi. The men tried to remove the caps only to discover what the little chibis had used their glue on. Kakashi smirked at them, pulled out his kunai, and poked a hole in it. He ignored Naruto's cry of "No, it burns my eyes," and caught the little boy before he could flee. 5 minutes later, 2 very sullen and very clean boys sat on the grass putting on fresh clothes. They put their heads together and began to plot their revenge as the men bathed. Itachi was the first to ask, "Where did they go?" Kakashi replied, "Not only that, but where did our clothes go?" On their last night, the boys planned their biggest prank yet. This one was Sasuke's idea. Naruto ran to his tent to retrieve something, then they both took a trip to use the cat hole. Before they joined the men, Sasuke and Naruto put a few clumps of peanut butter on their feet. They walked to the fire nonchalantly, sat down and propped their feet up by it. Kakashi, eyeing them suspiciously, asked where they had been. "The cat hole, Daddy." "Yeah," said Sasuke, "we had to use the cat hole." "You two were gone an awful long time," Itachi placidly commented. Naruto turned to Kakashi and said innocently, "But it's dark, Daddy, we had a hard time finding it." Yeah, because it was dark, nodded Sasuke. We tripped a few times too. Hey, what's that on your foot, Sasuke? Naruto asked while pointing. I don't know. You have something on your foot too. The boys stuck their fingers in it, scooped it up, and jammed them in their mouths while the men shouted "no" in shocked and revolted voices. They then licked each other's foot. Itachi gagged. Kakashi just rolled his eye. Both laughed uproariously at their little prank. Heh, gotcha daddy. Gotcha big brother. Like all good things, they had to end. Naruto and Sasuke shared a deep bond they vowed never to break, unless, Sasuke amended, the blonde ever tried the cup o' cheese trick ever again. They entered Konohagakure with excitement at their newfound friendship. Sasuke found he was actually happy that Naruto would be going to school with him. Sasuke gradually became aware of the fierce looks coming from the villagers. He was walking next to Naruto, so at first he thought that the glares were directed towards him. He stumbled and became confused, then self-conscious. Itachi, he timidly asked as he turned his head to look at his brother. Why is everyone staring so mean at me? Did I do something wrong? Is not you, Sasuke? Naruto heaved a sigh. They always stare like that at me 'cause they hate me. No one treats my friend like that, he growled out angrily, then yelled out, Hey, you stupid heads, you better stop looking at my friend like that or you will be sorry when I am bigger. I am an Uchiha, you know, so you better watch yourselves. Kakashi and Itachi had been sending out death glares of their own, which significantly deterred the villagers milling about. Many hurried away without looking back. Naruto tugged on Sasuke's shirt to get his attention, then said, You didna have to do that. You a good friend, Sasuke. Naruto tried to trip him, and then whispered happily, Team. It's Sasuke, he said, embarrassed but happy. He threw his arm around Naruto's neck and said, Even if you are a baka who still talks like a baby. They both looked at each other and laughed. Sasuke pushed him away and said, Race you to your house, baka. He took off with Naruto close on his heels. Together they raced through the village, dodging shinobi, leaping over obstacles, and bumping into civilians while laughing the whole way. When they arrived panting and gasping for air, Naruto fell down in a heap. Sasuke held out his hand to help him up, but Naruto pulled him down next him with a big smile. Thanks again for sticking up for me. Sasuke rolled over and poked him in the forehead like his brother did to him all the time. He said, You're my best friend, Naruto. What do you think friends do for each other? Anne. I know.
Alright, guys, this is gonna be part 10 of What If Naruto Was Adopted by Kakashi. I hope you guys enjoyed this part, and if you did, like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you liked about it. Tell your friends. Let it run a little bit long again because my dad called me on it, and I accidentally didn't stop it in time. Anyways, yeah, so I will see you guys in the next part. Bye-bye.